All right, guys, and we're back, and we are back again with Tristan and Alan from Proxy Army and Proxy War, and we want to talk about the Kickstarter program they've got going. Now, Kickstarters these days are pretty much, I would say, sort of a dime a dozen. There's just plenty of them out there, and you guys are launching pretty soon. When is your actual launch for your product? When can we see Proxy War on the table?
The Kickstarter goes live on November the 5th. Remember the 5th of November. And we hope to have the product actually released and on shelves about 7 months after that.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter? What can we expect to see in a Kickstarter?
Well, you can expect to see a lot of things, the big one of which, of course, is fully customized models. So you get a free copy of the Proxy War tabletop game with any purchase of models, a PDF copy. If you want, you can spring for a hardcover. But the big thing is, of course, personalized and customized models. If you want personalized models to go onto our database, grab parts, clip them together, create a custom D&D character, a custom army, anything, it's going to cost you about $7 a model for a 28mm fig to get them fully customized online, 3D printed in fine detail, and shipped right to you. If you want fully original content, something that has never been made before, that's a bit more expensive, $430 for a fully custom unit. But like I said, whenever you order fully custom content, we disassemble that content, all the parts go into the database, and whenever someone orders your model or uses your parts, you get a cut of the sales. One other thing, if you happen to be a game dev who is interested in fully custom models for your games, we will have a game dev reward level, and we do give big discounts for game devs who are interested in having their models produced on 3D printers.
Absolutely, and that's both for we call it full production lines and for high quality prototypes.
So how do you guys expect to differentiate your Kickstarter from, let's say, every other Kickstarter out there right now, as opposed to just, say, launching a product, just putting it on the shelves? Why did you guys decide to go with Kickstarter, and what do you hope you do to differentiate yourself from other Kickstarters?
Well, as much time as we've put into the game, as much time as we've put into the models, into design staff, into all that structure, we've also put a lot of time into studying what makes a good Kickstarter a good Kickstarter. No one can right now out there claim to be a Kickstarter expert, but I'd say we're getting close. We've put a lot of time and effort into, say, research on how videos should be, on how... Help me out here. How reward tiers should work.
Well, there's a lot of details, but it really boils down to is enthusiasm. That you can put a good idea in front of someone and they shrug and go, yes, I agree that that's a good idea, but that doesn't mean they're going to get excited about it. Getting people excited about a Kickstarter, which is what makes a Kickstarter succeed, is about making them feel they're involved in the process, like they're making something happen. And that's particularly easy for us because players really are the driving force behind our game in terms of development. They are the ones making the custom content, they are the ones making the custom armies, they are the one driving the lore and driving the world. So that's really what helps us differentiate ourselves and make all the players feel engaged with our launch. At our launch kickoff event, we are even having a contest for best custom army idea. Winner gets $3,000 in store credit to commission their fully custom line of units.
Nice. So they could come in with any concept they like, and if they were to be voted or win that, then you'll be building basically whatever warband they want.
Yeah, absolutely. What the contest is going to be for 24 fully original units from scratch. Anything you can imagine. You're going to come in, you're going to write down your concept. There's going to be one round of voting that's going to be more localized by table. The winner from that table goes up to the by quadrant for our launch party, and then those four, and then an additional one from the VIP room, which is going to be a fun thing I'll get into next, will go up to the last level, and those five, the four who are runners-up, will get each a custom mini originally done from that set, and then the winner will get their entire army or mini set done for them.
And since staff aren't allowed to vote, I'm going to go ahead and say that I do have a favorite of all the ideas we've seen so far.
Well, yes, but we shouldn't talk about it yet. We should let that one be a surprise.
Okay, we should, but it's a good idea. As Alan was saying, we will also have people in our VIP room, guests of honor. The big one of which is Rob Balder of Earthworld. If you're familiar with it, Earthworld is a truly fantastic comic about tabletop gaming.
I saw that on through Giant in the Playground. Through
Yes.
through Order the Stick.
Yes.
That's cool.
Earthworld and Schlock Mercenary will both be endorsing us, and as part of our special release on Kickstarter, you will be able to purchase Kickstarter exclusive Schlock Mercenary and Earthworld miniatures, which have never been made available before and will never be made available again.
So if I want to buy characters from the Earthworld comic, those will be available.
Yes, there will be a special reward package on the Kickstarter.
That's really cool.
For those.
Yes.
So why don't you tell a little about the levels of the Kickstarter? Like, what will the lowest levels be? What will the higher levels be? And what will people get for those?
Okay. So there are 4 big levels that we anticipate people will be interested in. Excuse me. The lowest one is Squad Leader, which is $70. That gets you 10 fully customized 28mm figurines. So that's a D&D party, a skirmish scale army. You can play our game with just a skirmish scale army of models. A fully custom squad for any other game you might play, a set of minis to customize one of your factions, anything. You can also instead get 6 huge models. That's like maybe 50, 60 millimeters tall, a troll, an ogre, an armored vehicle, that sort of thing. The one that we anticipate being the big mover is the platoon commander level, which is 30 fully custom, and these can be 30 totally different guys. You can say I want a robot, a ninja, a scout, different things, because that gives you a complete army. That is where for less than $7 a mini you get an entirely fully custom army to your tastes. You can swap it for huge units, giant units like tanks, or you can even get one Titan. Titan scale units are one of the things we're particularly proud of. That is a unit up to 22 centimeters tall, which you will be able to get at the platoon commander reward level. Above that is the war hero reward level, which is where you get a fully custom unit made for you entirely from scratch, the parts of which then go into our database and you get a percentage of all the profits. Finally, at the really high end, if you have the fanciest of pants and feel like donating, is the fully custom army level. That is where you get 12 to 22 fully custom units, and we also do a full codex write-up of them, exactly like it was a war game. So if you want your D&D extended party and all the RPG characters you've ever played done, we will make all of those minis fully from scratch, and then do a full book binding together all of their stats, custom character art, custom background art, just like they were going to be released in a D&D module. It's a fully custom army, we will write up the stats for all of your units with custom art, recommended strategies, character art and write-up, exactly like it was an army book for any tabletop game out there, etc.
I should note there is actually also a slightly higher tier that gets all of that into the core book. You can have one of your factions become one of the core factions of Proxy War. I'm particularly fond of that, not gonna lie.
Nice. So you can sort of buy real estate in the game.
Yes. Absolutely. You can buy real estate. In addition to that, being one of the core armies gets you and your custom original content more out there, so that percentage of your profits is a percentage of our total sales at that point.
So this is kind of like a game by players for players.
Yes, absolutely.
So what about the lower levels? What about the Joe Schmo, the blue collar levels?
Oh man, I love those because one of the things we've done is we've put so much time and effort into our art budget that we were looking around everything we had just lined up for the Kickstarter, and we were like, man, we should make an art book of this. One of our lowest levels is a full art book, and it's incredible.
Yes. So in total, over the course of our 6-month run, our art team has been working super intensive hours. We have 3,000 finished pieces of character concept art, finished promo art, and detailed unit sketches, all of which are being bound together for one of our lowest reward levels into a beautiful digital art book, which is really going to show off how a game is made artistically. Everything from how the factions were initially conceived to how unit design worked, notes from the art and design teams on how faction aesthetics were designed between units. If you are interested in how a game gets made artistically, how the units are designed, how they're 3D modeled, how they're conceived and finalized, this is a fantastic, cheap, easy to access reward level.
Absolutely. Other lower ones include the hardback
the hardcover rulebook. shoot, I'm blanking.
What about stuff
Yeah, me
like,
too.
I guess, gaming
Totally.
pieces like terrain and templates and that sort of stuff?
Okay,
Like
as far as we're
environment, I guess.
terrain is a model. If you want to commission custom terrain, that is exactly the same price with us as commissioning a custom unit in all respects.
Okay.
With actually, there are a couple tiny little exceptions. Because terrain tends to have more geometrically stable shapes, you can actually print it larger for cheaper because you can hollow out the inside. It's one of the wonderful things about 3D printing. You can create little cavities with support struts so that you don't actually have to pay for the full volume of the model.
Okay.
It's great.
Are you guys going to release some sets of terrain when you first launch to sort of
Yes.
give you some basic demo
Ooh.
stuff? And
Actually, our first stretch goal is something that has not been done before, period, bar none.
Okay, so yes, we will be releasing a ton of terrain with the base game. But our first stretch goal, which we are really excited about and really want to meet, is destructible terrain. So the way destructible terrain works, and I hope we will get to it, is you build a plastic frame of the building that just generally outlines the building's shape. And then you have custom 3D printed sandstone floors, walls, interior walls, furniture, ceilings, everything that you assemble around it and thus create a complete intact building. Now what makes it destructible is that those 3D printed pieces are pre-broken and just fit together so cleanly in their slots that they appear to create an intact wall. But you give it one good rap with a knuckle and pieces fall off.
okay.
Add that with rules about damaging buildings and structures, and you can have a game where a building starts intact. You can start with, say, an office, terrorists have taken cover in this office block, root them out. At the start of the game, the office block is completely intact. But as the battle goes on, bullet holes are appearing in the walls have been knocked down, doors have been kicked in, that sort of thing. Our basic goal is that you should be able to do everything from drive a sniper out of cover by bombarding the building he's in, to drive a tank through the front door of a building and have it drive out the back, trailing pieces of wall as it goes.
And radically changing the play of the game as it goes as well.
Yes.
Okay. So the environmental rules will definitely have an impact on play.
Absolutely. And we're going to have, just the same as we have our unit models, we will have terrain models made available immediately.
Nice.
Yes. One of the interesting emergent properties of our rule set, which we didn't anticipate, but which we are actually very happy with, is that since everything is so carefully priced against each other, since if you pay 50 points, you are getting exactly 50 points worth of units. The real way to beat your opponent is to use the environment against him. You can't have a better army than his. You can have an army that is better able to take advantage of circumstances. So our game has really turned out to be all about careful strategic positioning, advancing undercover, using the terrain to your advantage. And destructible terrain is going to add a ton to that and just be fantastic all around.
Absolutely. But I wouldn't quite say that using the terrain and the environment and circumstances to your advantage is the be-all, end-all. I would also say that one of the other things about our armies is that you can stat them such that they change the circumstances of the battle themselves.
Yes.
It's equal parts using the circumstances you have available to you and changing the circumstances in play as you go.
Nice. So when does the Kickstarter kickstart?
5th of November.
Remember, the 5th of November.
And when was the launch party?
5th of
Same.
November.
So same day. And
Absolutely.
the Kickstarter runs for what, 30 days?
Yeah.
Yep.
35. 35. Yeah.
What is your guys' target number in order to be funded? Because is Kickstarter the one where you have to hit a target number in order to be funded?
Yes. Our
Do you-
target- our
what is
target-
that target?
75,000.
Okay. So 75,000 is pretty high. Do you feel any risk at all about what happens if you don't hit 75?
No.
Do you have a plan B if you don't hit 75? Or is that going to be sort of
but I
like
don't
you're
think
going
we
to...
should discuss it right now.
Okay, so we're going to hope for 75, and that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
Okay, well, where can we find more information out about Proxy Army and Proxy War?
You can go to our website, www.proxyarmy.com, where there's lots more information about the game, about our service, and about our launch. And if you happen to be in the North Carolina area on the 5th, we are throwing a launch party at the local game shop here, the Atomic Empire. We're expecting about 150 attendees. We're going to game and party all night long. There's a laptop giveaway, and the big thing is the contest, which I mentioned before, for a free, fully custom army. There are still slots available, so if you're in the North Carolina area, we'd love to have you.
Nice. So when you say laptop giveaway, why don't you tell people a little bit more about that?
We are giving away 2 Chrome netbooks.
Yes. So since it is a kickoff party, one of the things we are going to have set up, just an event to get people excited. There's games, the custom army contests to get people thinking about what sort of custom models they
Absolutely.
might make.
It's about building the community for Proxy War.
Yes.
Nice.
But since we will have, that is our launch event, we're going to have a table with a few Chromebooks set up so that if people want to go watch the Kickstarter video or page around and examine the reward levels while they're at the party, they can. And we are going to be raffling those Chromebooks away at the end of the night.
Will they have a chance to sort of experiment with the database while they're there and kind of play with it?
We will have a lot of demos.
Cool.
The database is not yet fully accessible. That's what our Kickstarter money is going towards, to finishing it up. But there will be demos of everything that's there, yes.
Okay. So in regards to community, are you guys on any sort of community sites, like on Facebook or Blogger, or
Yes.
where else can we find you?
We have our own Facebook, Twitter. We even have Pinterest, even though I don't use it too much. You can find us about any social media site.
Facebook.com/ProxyArmy.
There you go.
Same with ProxyArmy.com as our website.
Okay, well, guys, we really appreciate you being here with War Council tonight. Is there anything else you'd like to sort of leave people with in regards to what they can expect and what you hope the future holds with Proxy War, with Proxy Army, and I guess the future of 3D printing in general? Do you think this is going to really knock the socks off of the wargaming industry? Do you think this is sort of the first, I guess the first barrage in sort of a new revolution in gaming?
Absolutely. We are definitely the first barrage. So 3D printing is going to turn miniature gaming on its head. Right now, our 3D printing is done on a multiple hundreds of thousands of dollar industrial printer we just buy time on. But there are already desktop 3D printers that can do almost the same thing for $3,000. Now, $3,000 is a bit much for the average consumer still, but when that drops to $200 or $300, when anybody can print fine cast quality models on their desktop, it's going to turn the entire miniatures gaming industry on its head. And we're just getting started with that. But long run, as 3D printing technology becomes more ubiquitous, we're going to expand, we're going to get more custom content, and we're going to let people print models on home 3D printers on their own desktop for just a tiny access fee per model. The future of miniature gaming is not box kits full of identical models. It is players being able to create anything they want, print it at home, and then game with it. And we're going to try and make that happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that sounds really exciting, guys. I cannot wait to see how this specs up. I'll definitely be there on the 5th of November. And if you guys are in the Raleigh Triangle area and you can get out to Atomic Empire on the 5th, definitely send these guys a message, let them know you're coming. And until then, put your minis where your mouth is.